Were you coerced into attending a formal dinner party at a mansion where you knew none of the attendees? As the night went on, did you watch as body after body was felled by items you'd otherwise find lying around the house? Were you then treated to a madcap whodunit breakdown that would have put any iteration of Hercule Poirot to shame? If so, you may have just been accused of murdering a half-dozen people in the Unkind Rewind, where we saw the 1985 classic board game adaptation, Clue.
Thrill me.
I'm gonna name you Kodo. You get a name too, Podo.
His name is Happy Harry Hardon. He's a total sex maniac.
Of course.
Welcome to the Unkind Rewind, where we ruin a different movie each week that our guest grew up watching. I am, of course, Josh Dugan, hailing from St. Paul, where I am sadly not podcasting from the James J. Hill House on Summit Avenue because I've been banned, having been deemed one of the hoi polloi by the docent there. As always, I'm joined by my co-host, Sean McGrath. Sean, did you have your nicest suit pressed to attend this evening's dinner party in the hopes of being groped by one or more of the male guests?
Yeah, and I was given an alias when I walked through the door. I couldn't get my real name. They just gave me the name Dr. Giggles.
Okay.
I tried to bring up the conflict of interest because we'll probably do Dr. Giggles on this fucking podcast, but
Sure.
yeah, and I would just caution the audience who heard Josh's intro that we don't necessarily ruin the movie. There are exceptions to that. It is not our intention to ruin a movie,
Sure.
but we are not bound by any decorum if it needs to be ruined.
Yeah. On the line this week, we're joined by the convivial Kt Baldassaro.
Probably our first convivial guest.
Yes.
Yeah. I feel so vivial. With Vivi.
Yes. Have you been saving up your energy to give your mile-a-minute rundown of who killed all 6 of the Who's who were killed over the course of this murder-filled evening?
I've been following you around all time, memorizing your lines to get them right.
Nice. KT, why don't you tell the listeners who showed up so late as to ensure that they'll be killed by one of the other dinner guests, and obviously also missed your Q's and T's installment last week, a little bit about yourself.
Oh, sure. We'll do that again. From the top, in case you missed it.
Yeah.
like one of the co-hosts.
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm Kt Baldassaro. I go by Movie Runtime. That's my handle on everything. So if you're trying to find me on an app and you type in Movie Runtime, you've either found me or you're on some sort of app that I don't use. And please don't tell me about it. I cannot take another fucking app at this point, all right? You're going to get me on YouTube. You're going to get me on TikTok and Instagram and Blue Sky. And I'm sure there's another one that I installed, but Rekby that I forgot about for my fans in India, apparently. There's a very good group of people out there who love talking about movies very insistently. Super awesome. Check out Rekby. But everything else.
Would Josh and I find you on Grindr under that name too?
The one about for sandwiches?
Yeah, Movie Runtime on Grindr.
Movie Runtime on
Yeah,
Grindr.
Yeah, short for Hoagies and Grinders.
Hoagies and Grinders, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I do love a good Italian sub, so you'll find. Actually, this is one of those, I can't believe how hard a stance I have on such a ridiculous thing is not related to movies. I don't like buying a sandwich. I feel like I can make a pretty good sandwich for a fraction of the cost of a sandwich. I've never been to a sandwich shop where I felt like they did a better job than me. And I hate how many questions they ask you at Subway. Get away from me. I pick the thing from the board. Make the thing from the board. Stop asking me questions.
Josh and I both enjoy a good Italian submissive.
I love a dominant, you know.
You're like a good Italian dom.
Yeah.
That's what Dom DiMaggio's short for, right?
Yeah.
It
Dominant
is,
DiMaggio?
yes. Dominant DiMaggio. Exactly. Submissive DiMaggio played more like Bocce.
Yeah. He was a hellion on the lawn.
On the lawn. You better watch out. So back. What I do is I'm a film critic. I'm an actor. I'm a filmmaker. I'm a director. So you'll find me anywhere people are talking about films. Specifically, I'm a co-host of the East Hampton Film Festival, which happens every May in Western Massachusetts. It's a 3-day festival where we look at all different kinds of films, local films prioritized, shorts, features. We do Q&As. We do full-on meetings with different people. It's a real fun event if you're in the Western Mass, Connecticut area. There aren't many film festivals out here, so come join us. There's even an extended deadline to still submit, but this isn't at the same time. So anyway, go there and you'll see it for next year, which will be 2026.
Now, before we delve too far into how to best avoid getting blackmailed for our odious misdeeds, where can our listeners find you in an audio format?
I just was going like this on my face, which they can't see because this is audio only, because I forgot to mention I have my own podcast. And I literally was recording last night. I know that I have this podcast, guys. I'm working on it right now.
It's really fun, too.
Yes, it's a sister to you guys, I feel like.
For sure.
I was talking about The Last Unicorn last night. That's the episode that is coming up next for me. And there's the scene between the harpy and the unicorn where she's like, we are sisters, you and I. And I feel like, yeah, guys, we are sisters, you and I.
We are definitely the harpy in that relationship.
100%.
Yeah, I'm way too bright glitter pink to not take the moniker as Almathea.
Josh and I don't have pink enough hair to be the unicorn.
Definitely.
You can have pink hair in your soul, in your heart. You can embody it.
Mine's just a blackened, shriveled, coal, like lump of coal where a heart should be. So I think I'm definitely a harpy.
Although, Josh, your carpet is pink.
Yes. Yeah, obviously. I mean, that wasn't my choice, but
that's a YouTube exclusive.
Patreon only, really.
Yeah,
Let's put that behind a paywall.
That's
actually on our OnlyFans.
Mm-hmm. And in my show, What If I Don't Like It? It's the idea is kind of like your show, except instead of it being a movie that people saw a long time ago, it's a movie that they never saw, and they judged negatively. And they just thought, like, this isn't going to be for me for whatever reason, or they completely forgot it existed. Make them sit down. Make them watch the movie. And we see if their judgment ahead of time was correct, or if maybe they have to kind of reassess how they think about cinema. And sometimes, I will admit, people nail it. They say the movie's going to suck. It does. It still does. But most of the time, we get them to turn around.
In these cases, have you always seen the movie first? Or are there situations where you've never seen the movie as well?
It's I will play any gamut on this. I love to argue for things, even things I don't personally like. I grew up in a very Italian family, so believe it or not, I'm good at arguing. So people will come to me with a movie and I may not have ever seen it. Or I may have seen it and hated it. And I'll try and see if there's an angle where I can get them to come to it and say, like, well, these are some of the reasons I thought that it might be still worth it. And then we'll talk about why they said they didn't like it. And we'll try and find a middle ground between it for that. Some of them were like, they're surprising because I had somebody pick Jingle All the Way. And I remember seeing that once when I was a kid and thinking that was totally stupid. And I was like, all right, I'll watch it. And I watched it and realized what an incredible satirical farce and how it's not meant to be taken at face value. And I was like, oh, okay, so we're going to have a great time talking about this. But I, too, went into this thinking, I don't think I'm going to like this shitty movie. But Ice Pirates, we couldn't save. That was when we just couldn't save it.
Yeah, I don't think there's any saving Ice Pirates.
When you were watching Jingle All the Way, were you also thinking, my God, what a terrifically talented young child actor, if only he could have a bigger platform?
Of course, yeah. I do feel like Arnold was young in that film, and I would have loved to see it.
Well, speaking, of course, about the tragically, I don't know what we would call him. Maligned Jake Lloyd, who I think, within 2 years, maybe 3, would go off.
I think he was cast 2 years later, but obviously that spent a year in post, so. Would
go off to Phantom Menace.
There's so many people from that movie who had their lives so messed up. Like the guy who played Jar Jar Binks tried to kill himself at one point because of the way that fandom surrounding that movie. It's like the introduction of toxic fandom, if I had to point to a movie.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, it's the first, like, pillaging of our youth, of like the sort of Gen X elder millennial youth, first pillaging of that youth, and like just a creative disaster.
That's very well said.
Sean and I went to that in the theater
Mm-hmm.
opening weekend.
Yeah. Well, I remember.
Well, yeah, one of our friends, but he ruined it because of the title, one of the songs in the soundtrack.
Yeah. How the hell did that even come up? But like the soundtrack was released, I believe, prior to the movie.
It was.
And track 17 is like
Qui-Gon is dead or something.
Funeral for Qui-Gon.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Guys.
okay.
Guys.
Thanks, John Williams. You couldn't have called it A Fallen Jedi or something like that.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
not
maybe
trying.
it's Mace Windu.
F plus. I skipped
I mean, this is
school
way
to
more
see
than
it.
I want to talk about Star Wars.
Yeah, this is our quota. Let's move on.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, this was our fault. So last week I said that I owned the DVD but hadn't seen Clue in roughly 20 years. It turns out we must have donated the DVD in advance of one of our 2 cross-country moves that occurred since I bought it. So I had to watch it on an ad-supported streaming platform like most of our audience likely did as well. Sean, what was your history with Clue?
My cousin owned the VHS, a cousin I lived near during my time in Minnesota. So it was one of those like cookout, family get-together movies that could be popped on.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I probably saw Clue, maybe 3 times between the ages of 7 and 12, something like that. Didn't see it in the theater ever, but also wasn't a Clue player as well, which I think is important. Was not one of the board games in the house.
You've never played it?
No, I've played it, but it wasn't one of the mainstays. Yeah, I was also not a big Monopoly guy.
Okay. Well, that's political.
Yeah, they haven't made I don't think they've made Monopoly.
And that's,
the movie
I'm saying
yet.
Political because your family's anti-Atlantic City.
Very much so, yeah.
Yeah.
But, Clue, this was a 30-year revisit for me. I haven't seen, other than like maybe a few little clips that have kind of sneaked into the meme world.
Yeah.
I hadn't revisited Clue in 3 decades.
Now, KT, how long did you think it had been since you'd last seen this?
I feel like it's pretty similar. I can't say that I've seen it since I went to college. So that's got to be 20 years now. I must have watched it a bunch when I was younger, like teenaged and on, because it's the kind of movie that it's a great G movie, even though it's got murder in it. It's really easy. And you can put it on and come into it at any time. So if you're putting it on in a rec room for a family, people can go through and come in and see that, and you don't really have to be there to understand what's going on at any scene that you're in, regardless of whether or not you've seen it, because of the shorthand we have having played the game itself. Most people have played the game itself. I was researching it last night and found out that it wasn't originally called Clue. It was called Cluedo. Did you know this?
Well, I believe Cluedo is the UK version, right? And that was the first one, and then Clue was licensed by, Cluedo's a terrible name. Maybe that has a different meaning in the UK, but like Cluedo means nothing to Americans.
It's a portmanteau of Clue and Ludo, which is a Parcheesi variant that's very popular in the United Kingdom. And I was going to ask you guys if you'd ever heard of Ludo. I had not.
Isn't that a song by Boss Skaggs? No, I thought maybe like it's a play on Clouseau. Like you have to be the detective, but no, it's even worse than that.
Yeah, yeah.
No, were you two both Clue players?
Yes,
we had
very
Clue.
much. Loved
Okay.
Clue.
Okay.
Loved it. Did you have a favorite character that you played?
No, I'm trying to think of, like, we had Clue, we had it, but like there were probably 5 or 6 games that would have gotten played before that. And at a certain point, by the time I was like 10 or so, it was the Genus 2 edition
Trivial Pursuit.
of Trivial Pursuit.
We were big Trivia Pursuit.
Yeah.
We were big Sorry.
Yeah.
Loved Uno.
Yeah, both. We had Sorry and Uno that definitely were like in line to get played before Clue would have.
Mm-hmm.
Clue was definitely something I played more at like friends' houses than at our house, even though I remember us having it. Maybe we didn't have it and it was just I always played it at friends' houses. But
The closest thing we had to Monopoly was something called Solar Quest, which shout out to like the one person on this who has heard of this, but it was like a space real estate game and you had to like get planets and moons. And
you were terraforming the moon or something?
Yeah. It's how I know about like Calliope and Io and things like that.
You
Okay.
learned something. We learned nothing in Monopoly. Good job.
Well, we learned street names in fucking Atlantic City, which gets us nowhere.
Yeah. The only time, so we would play Monopoly a lot as a kid, but we always played it physical challenge style, where like it starts as a normal board game, and then whoever has the physical capacity to literally beat the other person and steal their money wins.
Wow. Okay.
Was this a common Italian-American variant of the game?
I don't want to throw a full shade.
I didn't want to paint with too broad.
Perhaps.
Tammany Hall version.
My husband used to play a version where you would have to eat things out of, so they would play only when they were leaving a summer vacation. And the loser, the more you lost, you would have to pay by eating things out of the fridge that they needed to eat before they left.
Okay.
So, like, at one point, somebody had to eat an entire thing of blueberries because they had lost so much real estate. Like, that's how you play that game.
Was this like a Dirty Dancing style summer vacation?
He is a very good dancer. No, it's just a normal.
I love family-specific variations to popular board games and card games. And I think it's akin to kind of religious beliefs, like when you would go over to a friend's house and there'd be something about, like we weren't a saying grace before a meal family, but I certainly had to go to friends' houses where that was a thing. And I think there is some correlation to going over to a friend's house and having to play Battleship and going like, okay, well, if you get a hit, you have to run around the table or something. We had a variation in the game Uno. Sometimes when you would be drawing from the middle deck and you couldn't get the card that you needed to play, we had a taunting chant that the family would in unison sing out as you were drawing cards that went, eat them bones, yummy, 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 eat them bones.
Superb. I am stealing this. This is now part of my life.
And it would drive you crazy as you were down to like 1 or 2 cards, and now you had half the deck. Because you couldn't get a blue 6 or something.
Yeah.
Eat them bones.
I love this.
So yeah, I love hearing the variation to your games within the KT house.
Oh, we never played a game straight. We never played a game straight. We were big fans of Calvin and Hobbes, which invented the concept of Calvin ball.
Oh yeah.
And we took that into everything we could. Like, I would say the most insane game we played was badminton, but we didn't play it right at all. We would tape the rackets to each one of your hands, so your hands were now only rackets. And you had to be able to pick up the birdie and spike, and it was way more. It was insane.
How many badminton rackets did your family have?
We had 2 full sets because the net broke, and you can't just buy another net. So we bought another net, which came with 4 things. So we had like 8 of them.
What kind of tape were you guys using? Like gaff tape or
electrical tape?
Okay.
Geez.
Okay. That's expensive. Jesus.
Do you remember if Clue was held sacred, or did you have a variant to that?
There wasn't any variants to Clue. We would just play it as is. That was one of the few games, because we were very good. We all had photographic memories, so we couldn't play Trivial Pursuit too much because after like 3 years, we all had memorized all of the questions and it wasn't very fun anymore. So Clue was a game we could put down where it was really hard to kind of variant on it. Like you just had to focus. Yeah. It was also at one point digital, so we had it on the computer. And you couldn't fuck with the computer too much. You couldn't steal from the computer. You could tackle each other and then be in charge of messing with it, but like harder.
With Trivial Pursuit, do you have any, like, when you're at trivia, do you answer in like 1985 answers where like you're answering East or West Germany or the USSR or Soviet Union or something?
Yes. Yeah, sometimes. And also, I'm super tempted to always answer Jimmy Carter because a lot of the presidential questions are always Jimmy Carter.
Sure. It's like just recent enough, but not like current event for the game's purposes.
Yeah. It's great.
Okay, so before we get to the nuts and bolts about your memories of Clue, you talked about how your dad had strong opinions about films, namely hating Eraserhead and The Godfather Part 3 so much that you cannot watch them until he's shuffled off this mortal coil. Do you have a memory of watching Clue with your parents at all?
Yeah, definitely. We watched this together. This is right in the juicy, like, Mel Brooks kind. They were big fans of the Christopher Guest troupe.
Sure.
And everyone involved in that. So it's got Michael McKean in here, and he's coming off of Spinal Tap. So, like, anything that would circle around those kinds of ensemble actors that they really loved would always get shown to us, especially if the comedy was obtuse.
And obviously Madeline Kahn is kind of Mel Brooks royalty.
Right,
Exactly. So there were a lot of key players in here where they felt pretty strong about like, oh, I'm going to enjoy this. They were very rare to put a movie on that they thought we would like. It was really, we were just also there.
So, throwing to the first clip, we asked you what you remembered the plot of Clue being. And you answered.
This is my favorite thing to ask people when they haven't seen the movie as well. What do you think it's about? And it's like, sometimes they nail it, and sometimes it's like, oh, they're going to be in for it. Okay. Clue has multiple endings. I do remember, I remember the whole thing about Clue. And of course, I played Clue a lot as a kid. I also kind of forget the beginning feels a lot like the beginning for Rocky Horror Picture Show. So sometimes the images of the two get stuck together where they're like, people come to a mansion. And like, well, they didn't break down. They chose to come to the mansion. There's a party. They've been invited there mysteriously. Again, this is like any movie from the 1930s, tons of setups. They don't know why they've been invited there. Over the course of the evening, someone dies, and they have to figure out, A, who killed the person, and why or how they're all related in the reason why they've been brought to that house.
Pretty solid recall.
Yeah.
Very good recall.
Were you surprised when body number 2 dropped?
I kind of forgot how many people died. I was like, is it just one? Because in the game, it's just one.
Sure. Yeah, it's Mr. Boddy in the game. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So 6 bodies dropping was a surprise to you?
Yeah, a little bit way more than I thought. I thought maybe like 3. I was like, oh no, yeah, 6 people die in this. And none of them are the main cast, which is impressive.
Right. They keep feeding red shirts to
yeah.
It's crazy. Like every time someone shows up, like I didn't remember that every single person who shows up until Howard Hawksian dies. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you have any Rocky Horror bleed in with the memories of Clue when watching this time around?
Definitely, especially again in that first scene. And when you see oh God, is it Lynn Ann Walters who plays Mrs. Scarlet?
Leslie Ann Warren.
Leslie Ann. Oh, God. That was, like, not even close, but close.
Well, you had the initials.
Just AI created another name for her.
Yeah.
She looks so much like Susan Sarandon, especially in the way that they stylized her for this, that it's like, oh. And my husband even commented while we were watching, he's like, that's not Susan Sarandon, right? And I'm like, no, it's definitely not. It was supposed to be Carrie Fisher, but she went into rehab days before filming. Yeah. And that is just a friend of the director, so they got him put. A lot of the people in this movie are kind of just a friend of the director. Like you were saying, Tim Curry. Yeah.
They were teenage friends, which is crazy.
Yeah, it is freaking crazy. And Mr. Boddy is also there. I don't know, did you recognize Mr. Boddy?
Leaving, yeah.
Who was... I was just watching the SNL documentary for the 50-year anniversary. He is part of a band called Fear, and he is one of the only people to be banned from Saturday Night Live. He's the band that Belushi brought on to trash this stage. I was like, I just saw him as an adult. I totally did not remember he played Mr. Boddy in this.
Does he have a friend connection to this movie? Like, did the director know him?
Landis did Belushi's film Blues Brothers.
Oh, weird. Yeah, because there's a lot of Landis elements to this, obviously.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Just in terms of...
He didn't kill anyone here, but...
Style. Yeah, when did he kill people? Was it
shortly
a year after
in the Twilight Zone, yeah.
Yeah.
I think Twilight Zone is 86?
I think it's 86, but I don't have never seen it.
Yeah, just for the 4 people who don't know what that reference means, people died...
Helicopter.
Killed actors.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. He killed
children?
What's his fuck?
I believe
2 children and a
famous actor.
Yeah.
Yeah, the guy from Duel.
Weaver?
Oh.
No.
Yeah, Dennis Weaver.
Well, Jesus.
So this evoked memories of films from the 1930s for you. Do you think that registered to you as a child, or do you think this is something you retroactively put together as you watched, let's say, The Thin Man later in life?
Oh, it's got to be a retroactive. I think when it first started this time and it says New England, I literally said out loud, oh, I have never bothered to wonder where this was actually supposed to be. It's just a place at a time and a thing. It just happens outside of location or time.
Did you know that director Jonathan Lynn screened His Girl Friday as a point of reference for the cadence he wanted for the actor's dialogue?
That makes a lot of sense because it almost feels what I call high-waisted fast talking, but pulls it back to more of a like Sunset Boulevard cadence where it's like a Billy Wilder where you're like, I could still believe there's naturalization in this, but it's definitely stylized.
Yeah, it's not quite Howard Hawksian, but...
Yeah, it's not quite.
Yeah.
Still, that's one of my friend's favorite movies. He will defend it till he dies. The costumes here are from the person who did the costumes for Blade Runner. So they're really, really stylized, and they definitely, because Blade Runner also has that, like, oh, it's the future, but it feels like the past thing. So I wonder if, again, we're picking up on that, or if it just feels retroactively appropriate to say.
Yeah.
By the way, real quick, Twilight Zone was 1983, and the actor that was killed was Vic Morrow, not Dennis Weaver.
Oh, shit. Fuck.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dennis Weaver died in his 80s.
Oh. Must be nice.
Also decapitated by a helicopter, but that's...
by choice.
By choice, yeah.
That was like a...
He was on death row, and he chose that as the option.
Yeah.
It's an American version of seppuku.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And it's only an option if you're convicted of a capital offense in Utah.
Yeah, so it's lethal injection or decapitation by a helicopter.
Or firing squad.
Yeah.
Because the last firing squad execution was...
But the firing squad has to be from somebody in a helicopter.
Yes. Yeah.
Ooh, zigzag, motherfucker.
They have to be coming straight from trying to kill a bunch of wolves.
This sounds like a video game level of the Top Gun Nintendo game.
I think I don't even know what that may have been.
I was referring to Sarah Palin was talking
Oh,
about.
okay.
Yeah, that was the thing. Well, anyway.
Okay.
Sorry.
Here are some ads. We'll be right back.
You won't see the engineer that slams the Nissan Rogue's door 13,920 times. Or the corrosive chamber that simulates 15 years of life in 5 months. Or the Rogue heat-baked for over 300 combined hours. What you will see is a vehicle that can take punch after punch and keep rolling. Nissan, #1 in new vehicle quality among mainstream brands by J.D. Power. We put it through the worst, so you get its best. For J.D. Power 2025 U.S. Initial Quality Study Award information, visit jdpower.com/awards. Awards based on 2025 model year. Newer models may be shown.
Thrown to the next clip, we asked you how old you were while watching Clue on a loop.
Oh, man. I just want to say Clue has been a movie that has always been a movie for me. Like, in as much as, like, The Land Before Time has always been a movie. Clue has always been a movie. It's a comedy. It's fine for kids. It's got Carol Kane. I think it was one of the people my dad was very much about, like, showing us these comedic actors, especially women, and being like, look at these are really exceptional actresses. I need you to see how funny these are. And we loved Mel Brooks, and it was kind of Mel Brooks adjacent. So, like, I just want to say, like, I've always known that this movie existed. Well, obviously I meant Madeline Kahn, said Carol Kane. Another wonderful woman, but yeah.
The weird thing is, it didn't scream wrong to me when you said it. And you said Madeline Kahn later and, like, corrected yourself. But, like, when you said Carol Kane, I was like, oh, that didn't, like, jump out as a... Like, I knew Madeline Kahn was in this, but it wouldn't have surprised me if Carol Kane was in this.
I've never made that mistake, and I wasn't here for the pre-interview, of course, but when you said that, KT, I was like, oh shit, she'd be fucking terrific in this movie. Like, she is such in this wheelhouse. And even vocally, she is so close to Madeline Kahn, especially in that kind of higher register.
Mm-hmm.
Not to take anything away from Madeline Kahn, who I know that we're going to talk about, but yeah, hearing Carol Kane's name, mid-80s, like, she is the alt in this, like the swing that you would, if this was a play that you would cast, and you would just have her know 3 of those roles plus Yvette, right?
I think she could have replaced Eileen Brennan and actually been a step
She
up.
could have, yeah.
I was
she
just going to
could've.
say that. I know the age difference isn't quite as much between the two actresses, but you could accomplish that with the makeup and costume anyway. Yvette was almost Jennifer Jason Leigh, Madonna, or Demi Moore. So there were some weird, I mean, they say that Colleen Camp got it because she auditioned in an actual French maid's costume, and
Yes.
And Landis has kind of confirmed that in interviews later on.
Let's talk about maybe that for just a second.
Yeah, the elephant in the room. The elephant being her cleavage.
I mean, Jesus Christ, right? Like, I mean, maybe there's just a long pause that it doesn't need to be commentated on. But as you saw this movie around 8, 10.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that must have been something as formative for you as it was for me, where it was like, it is such a gravitational pull for the camera and for almost every character is the cleavage of Yvette. Mm-hmm. And it's what's so funny is Josh and I are going to be doing another movie with Colleen Camp where she's like the definitive kind of 80s commercial-esque mom, kind of unsexualized in every capacity.
Yeah. Not tarted up at all.
The most suburban. And it's like, what, a year from this?
It's the same year. They're both 85.
What?
Yeah, it's insane. She's basically...
She's Turtle's mom and Daryl.
Yeah, she's like the neighbor of Daryl's, she's the neighbor family. But she is, I mean, she crushes it here, right? Like, there's nobody, I mean, just in terms of look and how the physical comedy, the stuff with McKean when they're together is great. Walking up that stairwell, so funny.
Committed to that physical motion. So good.
Yeah, the whole movie has such a grasp on the physicality of the comedy. It's not just the quick, somewhat British-style farce repartee between the actors, which again is very good, but the physicality, I mean, I had completely forgotten the pratfall as McKean and Curry come together, which look like season-ending injuries.
Yes, yeah.
She took so much air. I was so impressed.
Yeah, it looks like it's them, right?
Yeah.
And there's no mat to land on. It looks like it's them, and they landed right on the ground. And I know how to do a fall like that. I've done circusing. I know you can do a fall like that safely. That's a real skilled fall. Yeah.
It's a real high point in terms of physical comedy movies. Curry's run, especially during kind of the last third of this movie when he's going through the scenarios, like the high elbow, fist pumping runs, the hunched shoulders. It is 1930s movies. It's Marxian Brothers.
Yeah.
The people spilling out of doorways and cabins and things like that. But yeah, Colleen Camp, my goodness, like a very early formative icon for me as like someone discovering, sexuality and things like that. Because this was not a movie that was kind of packaged as adult body comedy. There's no nudity in this movie. But my goodness, like it's a real barometer kind of on a young boy's sexuality spectrum to seeing Colleen Camp as, again, leaning much into this kind of fetish thing. And again, as an actor, in KT, maybe you've heard about this as you've auditioned, is like, do you dress, do you lean into that? Every once in a while, there'd be a thing for like an outdoorsman, and you see somebody in the waiting room who's got their red and black flannel and just got their, tucked into some brawny man jeans and has got the skull cap. And is that too much, right? Are you trying too hard, right? Colleen Camp, having auditioned in a maid outfit, is a testament that maybe sometimes it works.
I think she took such a big swing. It is a testament to go big in an audition because you can always dial it back.
Yeah.
And she also took advantage of misogyny in the 80s. That she was like, they want tits, I'll give them fucking tits. And then she goes and does another movie without it. Like she, if you got it, flaunt it, to quote Mel Brooks in another piece. She really does show that. And even the French accent that she did, that character was not supposed to have that accent. The executives and producers thought it was stupid and wanted her to stop doing it. Landis lets her keep doing it because nobody on set could stop laughing. They thought it was hilarious. And then they have her break it in one of the ads to show that it was always meant to be bad. I loved that every single actor on this seems to be taking a big swing. A lot of them got to improv. A lot of them got to feel safe in that space. And then you get this kind of physical comedy because you can't be that kind of comedy without trusting each other. where you've got Curry running around. The scene where he pulls Madeline Kahn up the stairs and just lets her go and she just like lies down on them.
Yeah,
like that has to have been improv, and it is so perfect. You only get that when actors feel very comfortable with one another.
Right. Now, was this a movie that was introduced to you by like older siblings because they were around, or were your parents leading the way on this? Because you described this as being something that was always like, that was present before you were cognizant of anything.
Yeah, I think it would have been my parents who probably put this on because they knew all the actors in it and they thought it was funny and they knew that we could watch it and it was a game that we had played. With regards to like with regards to Colleen Camp's breasts, like my favorite movie that I've like one of the first movies that was given to me is The Last Unicorn, which has 2 scenes of very big heaving breasts in it. So I was used to seeing that since I was like a little kid, and it just didn't even register with me. It was just like she had boobs, they were there. So I can't say I related to that aspect of it, but I definitely, when watching it this time, the first time I saw her on screen, I was like, wow, you can see her breathing every single breath. It's like And I know that Miss Scarlett, playing Miss Scarlett, couldn't even sit down because her corset was so tight.
Yeah, she had to stay. There were certain things that she couldn't play pool. They would play pool in between setups, and she had to like lean against a doorway or something.
And you can see every time she sits down, she's kind of just like,
yeah, both of their chests are very much on display for this entire movie. As a cishet white dude, like I was distracted this time around. It was,
you could be a cis
very
your whiteness has nothing really to do with that, but cis het certainly.
Yeah, sure.
I do love though how a lot of the ladies use it. Like it becomes a powerful weapon that they're using, and they do kind of put the men in their place. And anytime you see a male character being misogynistic or you get that kind of view, it feels like the camera is trying to tell us this guy's an asshole. This is a bad person. This might be a murderer.
Yeah, Plum certainly, right? Like, and it is funny because you could argue that Christopher Lloyd could go the biggest of any of these actors, and yet he doesn't.
Yes!
Like, Lloyd has the capacity, as we see, the same year?
The same year, yeah.
With Doc Brown, of going to, 1,000%, and yet everything... The only time, really, that Plum gets a little flustered is that great door sequence.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, he is pretty sedate, right? He is playing certainly like against his type. But as KT mentioned, like he is oftentimes shown in kind of a disparaging light as like a misogynistic asshole. Like he's the one who breaks the car hard when he sees Scarlett leaning over the hood. That's how we kind of get introduced to him. Mm-hmm. He's mesmerized by Yvette's breasts at certain times. He's the one who puts, I think does he like grab the ass of Scarlett at some point?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like there's an accidental, I think the lights come on and he's like on top of someone and you're like,
right.
Oh!
Right.
Yeah, there's a lot of showing him being a total douchebag. And then the irony there is when you get to the ending, spoiler, the only 2 endings that aren't the ending where everybody kind of did it a little have the women do it.
Right.
So like we're kind of shown the men could, but they're so stupid they don't even. It's actually the women. And in that moment where you see like him get mesmerized by Yvette's breasts, you realize the intense power that Yvette actually has. Right. And you're like, oh, is she a victim or is she going to kill someone? And she does in one of the versions.
I mean, the camera is definitely doing some lifting on Yvette's powers too.
It's what we call a male gaze. Yes.
Oh, it's sure male gaze. Was it surprising to you how, in a movie that's ostensibly for children, how front and center all of this like sexualizing, objectifying of women, how front and center that all was?
No. I'm going to again go back to The Last Unicorn, which is literally just like huge themes of what it is to be a woman and how you even have to put on makeup to look like a woman when you are a woman. Like, this is so ingrained in me that I was like, oh yeah, no, that's just everywhere all the time. I was actually surprised by how I thought it would be worse. I thought it would be more offensive. I thought it would have aged poorly in some places. And I don't really think I found any place where I was like, huh, what did that character just fucking say?
I mean, there are multiple women who are groped in this. And it's weird how it didn't register until like I had finished the movie and then I was like, oh fuck, there's all of this like low grade sexual assault happening on camera in a children's movie, which, yeah, I mean, it's, you know, we're not getting to the sort of worse levels of an 80s movie that is routine, you know, like you go back and watch So Often and it's much, much worse. But like, I was surprised that it didn't even click to me now until after I was done watching.
Do you, I mean, like, I don't know if I would package this movie as a children's movie, though. Like, is that because of the rating or is that because of the board game correlation?
I think it's both. It's the rating and the board game, right?
Well, like, I guess this is a problem where I come in, again, with things like The Last Unicorn or Secret of Nim or even The Dark Crystal, where, like, I think we don't give children enough credit because the context in which we are shown the sexual assaults in Clue, they're all shown to be bad. And so we're showing kids examples of when someone touches you like this, it's bad and you're allowed to be mad at them and you're allowed to say something. So it's way more helpful for children to see examples of things happening in reality that are happening and how to handle them than say like where we see Revenge of the Nerds, where he pretends to be the boyfriend and has sex with that woman where she doesn't know she's having sex with him instead. And we're supposed to be like, yeah, way to go, man.
Yeah, or the panty raid scene, which is played for laughs, right?
Anything in Porky's, yeah.
Yeah, and we do have, you know, kind of the gratuitous just breasts in front of camera for no apparent reason from nameless characters, just to show breasts.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we never get there. The closest we get is of course the legendary cleavage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but
Can
I mean,
you imagine if they had gone with one of the alternate actresses for this? Like, the movie would have been entirely different. Like not like in 1985. None of the three actresses who were just mentioned.
It's funny too because you know, I think of Fisher too as kind of a feminist icon in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm.
And she's a great writer in her own right. Mm-hmm. So it would have been really interesting to see, because it's such an ensemble and everybody's kind of around, and there's a lot of ad-libbing, and there must have been a lot of collaboration and contribution, like during filming, how much Carrie Fisher would have augmented the other characters and the other performances in, you know, maybe good or bad ways. But, you know, the right people found, you know, it's very rare when you hear about a close call in terms of casting where you're like, oh, it would have been so much better. Like, I don't see that with Clue, right?
No.
Everybody here is where they should be. Mm-hmm. There's not a weak link. I mean, outside of, like, obviously Lee Ving coming in and not really needing to do too much other than be dead. And probably is one of, like, the strangest castings. I don't know what you would do nowadays with Mr. Boddy. It might be a much bigger name, right? Mm-hmm. Than kind of a alt punk, you know.
You'd go with Paul Westerberg now.
Sure.
One of the other people banned from SNL.
I would pick Henry Rollins if I can. If we're picking punk actors, I feel like Henry Rollins could do that well. It did feel like some of these lines were 80-yard, especially as he's walking towards the door. He is definitely the weakest link here. I really think you hit the nail on the head when you compared it to, say, like a theatrical play, where I would say these castings would be great for matinees, or if we did a second run, or like just you could change the whole feel of the movie by substituting different actors and letting them ad-lib and go to town with it. So much of this is what the actors brought to it. Even the choreography at the end with Curry and going through all of that was he worked with the camera crew to set that choreography up.
More Unkind Rewind right after these messages.
You won't see the engineer that slams the Nissan Rogue's door 13,920 times. Or the corrosive chamber that simulates 15 years of life in 5 months. Or the Rogue heat-baked for over 300 combined hours. What you will see is a vehicle that can take punch after punch and keep rolling. Nissan, #1 in new vehicle quality among mainstream brands by J.D. Power. We put it through the worst, so you get its best. For J.D. Power 2025 U.S. Initial Quality Study Award information, visit jdpower.com/awards. Awards based on 2025 model year. Newer models may be shown.
One thing that you find and KT as an actor, I'm sure that you've had experience with this, but we have a predominantly theater-based cast. And I don't mean that they did theater for the majority of their career, but Con, Brennan, Lloyd all start in theater.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure Leslie Ann Warren has some theater credits too. Martin Mull, I know, did like weird kind of performative comedy through the 70s. Yeah. Mm-hmm. McKean did a comedy group, a Carnegie Mellon, with the guy played Squiggy. I can't remember his name right now, from Laverne and Shirley, before he kind of got his big break on that TV show. But like, obviously with Spinal Tap, like has a real big performative background and a lot
improv.
lot of improv here, right? And of course, being one of the Christopher Guest guys, you can be a really great actor and ad-lib for shit and not be able to do it unless you've had time to read over a line that somebody else wrote. I've worked with an actor, good actor, an actor that Josh and I like quite a bit. I will not say his name right now.
Pretty sure I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, could not ad-lib to save his life. I'll just say he played a boyfriend of Carrie Bradshaw. But
yeah, you can check Sean's credits.
Check my credits.
Okay, I've got 4 possible people.
So this is a movie that casted extremely strong theatrical actors who are adept working in an ensemble. These are long days too, when there's not a lot of like, hey, we're just going to do McKean and Camp today. Everybody else. Like, everybody is there the entire time. Everybody's in the fucking same room the entire time.
They're the background actors to their own shit, too, yeah.
Yeah.
And that type of, like, theatrical spirit of, like, we're all in this together. And when you do, like, a 3-month, 6-month run of a play, as an actor, things happen. Like, you start to find new ways to say something. The first performance is very different than closing night.
Oh my God, yes.
And I'm sure as you're going through these takes, and I don't know what the shooting schedule was like on something like this.
It was at least all on the lot at Paramount, so like pretty easy.
Yeah, pretty easy, like
shoot wise, like
ostensibly,
like it's a controlled. Everything's inside. Everything's on the lot. Everything's like on one of 2 sound stages. 17 and 18 for those who are keeping track.
This mansion, right, is very much like they're going to have to pull walls apart. They're going to have to go into bookcases and things like that. Like, there's going to have to be a lot of construction on this set. And like, very obviously a matte painting as they're driving up to this mansion. Like, this could not be any more of like a Wile E. Coyote pulling down a scrim of a mansion for the Roadrunner to run into, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, there's so much of that spirit evident in this movie of teamwork and communal spirit. And it does feel very much like a play in a good way. Like, I'm saying that as a compliment and not like going to see the piano lessons, right? Recently, directed by Denzel Washington's kid, where it was like, this feels so much like a play, but in a negative sense.
Yeah, and you hit at one of my all-time favorite trivia facts about this movie that I only just discovered while looking at stuff to watch it this time. The original version of the script is written by Thomas Stoppard, my favorite playwright of all time. Rosencrantz, Guildenstern are dead. We're talking about the highest level of literary wit level writing, like our modern day Shakespeare. He actually takes his entire script after working for a year on it, gives it back to them and says, don't pay me anything. I don't know how to make this work. And so like, it feels as though those bits are still somehow in there. There's these theatrical DNA from the very first point. And you're so right. If I was casting something like this that's on a soundstage, which means you've got a flat stage, it's going to be like a theater. I need them all to work together and be okay with being in scenes even when they're not talking. I'm going to look for theater people. I know they're going to be better for this. Whereas, sometimes theater people can't really deal with how close stuff is. They act too big. That's okay. This is campy. Big acting's still going to be all right on screen. So you can really lean in.
The spiritual cousin theatrically to this movie is probably Noises Off. And Josh, I don't know if you're too familiar with that, but it is like kind of this legendary comedic British farce where we see a play. It's like a play within a play. Mm-hmm. And we're watching a pretty hammy and like poorly written British comedy. And then Act 2, we flip the stage around and we see everything that had just transpired, but now we see it from backstage.
Okay.
And like that energy is so existent. Like it's such a like a permeating force in Clue of this type of like, you know, almost like retcon style ending, which I don't know if I've ever seen something quite like this. Like maybe we should talk a little bit about that. But the energy, the kind of the exhaustion of that third act is very Noises Off. And again, like as KT mentioned, Tom Stoppard having such a grasp on the English language and repartee, and something that happens a lot in this movie are insults where the character doesn't know they've been insulted.
Love that.
Such a great element to the screenplay on this.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see who else was brought in? Like, Jonathan Lynn's the credited screenwriter, but did you see who else Landis brought in?
Mm-mm.
He brought in Stephen Sondheim.
Oh!
Wow.
And he brought in Anthony Perkins.
What?
Yeah, they were both helping with the screenplay, and like obviously, like it was never in a place that they could have shot it. Lynn came in and put it all together, but yeah, very strange trio of uncredited screenwriters on this.
That feels like a witch's brew. Like, I need a little bit of death. Get me Perkins. I need a little bit of comedy and wit. Get me Stoppard. Like, these perfect. Let's make it a little musical. We'll get Steven in here and, like, this witch's brew. Like, oh, yeah. I can see how this comes out to be both so good and such a commercial failure. Like,
you know, and Lynn, who, like, you know, a lot of people don't know, he directed My Cousin Vinny. He directed Nuns on the Run. And then he had kind of middling success after that. He did the whole 9 yards.
Mm-hmm.
Sergeant Bilko, this very kind of strange Michael Richards, Jeff Daniels law comedy called Trial and Error.
Forgot about Sergeant Bilko. That was not good.
But he's a British guy and comes from a theater background and was a former actor.
Yeah.
So when we use the term like he's a real actor-director, they're talking about guys like Jonathan Lynn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he'd been in a sketch show in '67 alongside future Monty Python members, Terry Jones and Michael Palin.
Yeah, I mean, Jonathan Landis, I think, is a really good director, and he's got a lot of great credits. It is weird that this is a couple years after the Twilight Zone incident, and that thing didn't get resolved until the late 80s in court. So, like, that's hanging over him for such a big part of the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think that this is a Spielberg, Tobe Hooper, Poltergeist situation. I think Jonathan Lynn they've hired the right guy for this.
Well, he's hired on the basis of his script. Once he nails the script, he's brought on as the director, but it's not until then, because he only has one directorial credit before this.
Well, obviously we have a lot of fucking cooks in the kitchen on this script. If we're dropping names like Tom Stoppard and fucking Stephen Sondheim.
Yes. Oh, and Anthony Perkins, obviously.
And Anthony Perkins. Who
Noted screenwriter Anthony Perkins.
Yeah. Works with his mom a lot. But yeah, I don't, and that's a hard thing to like look at the finished screenplay and have it notated as like, oh, this is a Tom Stoppard line. And then, Sondheim did these couple of sequences. Like, who knows, right?
Yeah.
But however he got there, whether he was a script doctor, whether he cleaned this thing up, whether he crossed the T's and dotted the I's, enough of a way to have a studio rubber stamp it and get it signed off, he still is very much the person that you want in the room because of that background in acting and because of the background as an actor. When you have 6 or 7 people there at all times and everything is the interplay between them. Because, I don't know, like that's the real strength of this. I don't think that this screenplay, with the exception of these jokes, is the star, right? Of the movie.
It's the skeleton. It's kind of like everybody's going to start here on this.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's this ensemble that I think is how I fondly remember this movie.
Same, yeah.
And what I was so drawn to on this rewatch. It was just like, oh man, like McKean's frenzy and his weird bumbling, like even when he throws himself to the ground for some strange reason, like Mull's inability to detect when he's being insulted to his face, his bluster, Madeline Kahn's like verbal noises, not even words, her strange chirpings and those, oh my God, like that is to me like the biggest allure and the biggest staying quality of Clue, and all those things kind of mixed together form like a really watchable film.
Yeah, like when they're singing for He's a Jolly Good Fellow, everyone's singing it, and Madeline is like,
she's harmonizing completely unnecessarily.
Under and a half beat after because she can. And I love
and never gets a close-up on that.
No.
You just have to see it.
Because you can see all the other actors' faces staying in this. I loved watching other people's faces in the background on this take. Because I've seen the film enough times that I'm like, let me see Martin try and hold his shit together behind Madeline while she's doing this. Like, it's not only a testament to their ability to improv, it's a testament to everyone else's ability to stay in the scene.
To not break, yeah.
Yeah. These are comedy legends.
Now, was there anyone in the film that you were, like, surprised to see? Like, that you had forgotten was in this, KT?
I think it was Lee Ving. Lee Ving was probably the only person I forgot because I don't think I knew who he was the last time I saw this.
Sure. Did you know who Jane Wiedlin was?
The singing telegram?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did know she was from
Okay.
the Go-Go's, I think. Yeah. And that makes, because I remember people being like, oh, it's hilarious. She only sings like this much of anything. Oh, yeah.
On that joke, too, it's such a perfect beat to have the door slam at the end of that as well. Like, everything is comedically so mathematical in that. Like, the rhythm of that door opening, dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. And then to have the gun, the body, and the door slam. Again, it's showing you that you're in the room with people who know what they're doing.
That must have been Sondheim. That must have been the Sondheim bit right there.
That's his influence.
I do think I also noticed a lot of the editing, because we're talking about how great the ensemble is, and the ability to cut all of this frenetic acting together and not have it feel like I am watching a TikTok video where somebody's just cutting for the sake of cutting. That's harder to do than I think I realized when I used to watch this movie.
Sure. Now, you said that you still, to this day, quote Madeline Kahn's Flames monologue.
Yeah.
Watching it again in 2025, had you been quoting the monologue word for word, or had you made like slight changes, like with Luke, I am your father, when it's no, I am your father? Like, had you made alterations without knowing it?
I guess I thought I didn't memorize the whole thing. I was like, oh, it's so short. It's just the and that's all that it is. It's just a little flourish. So, no.
It's so stammery too, right?
Yeah.
It's not like Luke, I am your father, or
Play it, Sam.
Yeah, I wish I could quit you, which is not the line. The line from Brokeback is, I wish I knew how to quit you.
Yeah.
I mean, those are very clear lines, right? But what Madeline Kahn is doing is this, like, monster from the id. Like, she's so angry she can't even verbalize. So, like, as close as you can get to that, right?
Yeah, it's
so unique to her.
It's such a fun acting exercise where you can see she's been playing this very reserved woman the whole time. She is now going to let go, but even in letting go, it's like a barely a simmer, but it's also on fire. It's like, how does she manage to look like she's completely lost it, but still be reserved? It's really lovely. I love watching it.
Do you think that there was anything about Clue that spoke specifically to the younger version of yourself who dressed as a woman in black and white being attacked by birds for Halloween, and who you described as very weird?
Yeah, I forgot how frequently I actually dressed like Mrs. White in real life whenever I got the chance. Even though I always would play Mrs. Scarlet, and right now I look like Mrs. Peacock, when I was watching this as a kid, I wanted to have the aesthetic of Mrs. White.
Okay.
And like the weirdness, the lines that I remembered distinctly, I was like, yeah, I was a fucking weird kid. Because I'm like, oh yeah, the monkey brain stew, the popular and Cantonese cuisine. Like, I remember that in my bones. What's wrong with me?
This is a real popular era for monkey brains, because we were just coming off of Temple of Doom.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Oh, man. So, yeah, I definitely think it highlighted, like, especially because I'm watching Clue. I watched Clue the day after I watched The Last Unicorn again.
Sure.
And these are influential children's movies. And I'm like, these are not children's movies. Why was I watching this at age 8? And yet, it came out fine. It's fine.
You're still here.
Yeah, and to go back, just to kind of put a bow on this, like, this movie is rated PG. The movie is related to a family board game, which I think is what is the Trojan horse that gets this movie into kind of in front of kids. You know, that parents are seeing it and going, oh, okay, we play that every Sunday. Like, oh, it's rated PG, right? Like, you know, Ghostbusters was just rated PG, and Ghostbusters has, like, arguably a lot more riskier types of humor than something like this.
This is 1985, and PG as a rating has literally just come out. Gremlins was rated G, and it caused that big, huge turmoil.
Or PG and PG-13.
Oh, yeah, yes. So, like, Gremlins being PG pissed people off. Like, nobody knew what to expect of a PG movie this year. And I want to say throughout all of the 80s, they had this really bad inability to properly label things because they didn't really know what they're, and we still don't really know how the fucking rating system works. There's no actual release of the rules for it. So these arbitrary assignments and like, it's just supposed to be a guideline. Honestly, you should see the movie before you show it to your kids. Is it that hard?
I'm all for not pre-screening anything for children and just letting them see whatever.
I do that with any anime I can, especially if there are nuns in it. I'm like, oh, nun anime? That's great for kids.
Yep. Uh-huh.
I think to a degree, like, I wouldn't want my kids to watch Hellraiser without, you know, something like, as we talk about a lot on this podcast, like, there is traumatizing shit that comes up, and some people don't quite recover from it in ways good and bad. But, like, this movie is an 80s movie set in the 50s that features a lot of, like, McCarthyism era politics, that talks about fusion and government secrets, that talks about, like, that has J. Edgar Hoover jokes. Like, this is not material written for children. This is not stuff that kids are going to...
Every kid knew who J. Edgar Hoover was in 1985.
People are not going to get the intricacies of, like, Soviet...
HUAC.
Trade, HUAC and Soviet trade secrets and international espionage, like, to that degree. I mean, one of my favorite throwaway jokes in Pee-wee's Big Adventure, also from 1985, a massive year for movies, is when he first approaches the police about his missing bike, the line that begins the scene is, "What makes you think the Soviets are involved?" But that is not the plot of the movie, and that is not, you know, what we're basing so much of Clue on. So, yes, it's PG. Yes, it's based on a board game. But this is for adults who have their fingers on the pulse of kind of what's going on, both Cold War, you know, 50s and Cold War 80s.
And I do think that's another testament to this, like, childhood I had where my parents were very insistent that, like, kids are just little people. And so, like, they would put that on and they would explain that joke to us. So, like, I was also a kid, I said in my interview earlier, that I got thrown out of a house when I was 13 for trying to have a viewing of Deconstructing Harry. So I was a big Woody Allen fan, and I really, like, and you think, well, how would you get any of the jokes in Woody Allen? Because I was sat down and explained them. This was like, my parents thought this was important that I understand how the Cold War works so that I'll get jokes in future movies, because they're still going to keep watching these goddamn movies. So, like, oh, okay. But I totally, watching it now, I'm like, how did I think it was set at any time? They're making very specific jokes about a very specific time period. It's obviously American politics. They mention DC all the time. And I was just like, it's an anytime movie.
I'm not saying that, like, children can't enjoy it. And I think, like, that's the delineation, that I think that this movie was made for smart adults. But like you find out a lot of times, if you make a movie, like a good movie for adults, like, kids can kind of pick up on that. And you hear this more with television shows where parents will say, yeah, my kids watch it, but, like, I really like it too. Or, like, it's not Cocomelon.
It's like Blue's Clues. Oh, not Blue's, Bluey, the show that a lot of adults watch.
Bluey, yeah. Like, it's okay. It really is okay to have something where kids don't get the references, right? That's totally fine. But if you make a good project, it's going to be edible for kids and adults. And this movie was edible for me as a 7 or 8 year old, just like it was for my parents.
I think that if I showed this movie to a niece or nephew in that age range right now, I would do the same thing that my parents did, where I would stop the movie and be like, so did you get that joke? Can I explain it to you? Are you interested in understanding that joke? Because that's just kind of how I watch movies. But I think you could just watch it and have fun too. I do. Yeah.
We're also 40 more years removed from the historical place and time that this is set. So like this is now 70 years ago that the movie is set, you know, so like it's stuff that kids wouldn't have as much of a frame of reference for as we even did in the 80s.
Well, sit down, kids, because you're gonna learn.
Yeah.
More from the Unkind Rewind in just a minute.
You won't see the engineer that slams the Nissan Rogue's door 13,920 times. Or the corrosive chamber that simulates 15 years of life in 5 months. Or the Rogue heat-baked for over 300 combined hours. What you will see is a vehicle that can take punch after punch and keep rolling. Nissan, #1 in new vehicle quality among mainstream brands by J.D. Power. We put it through the worst, so you get its best. For J.D. Power 2025 U.S. Initial Quality Study Award information, visit jdpower.com/awards. Awards based on 2025 model year. Newer models may be shown.
Throwing to the next clip, you were asked what you thought it was about Clue that appealed to your younger self.
I loved the idea that they did something. I think this may well, and I'm gonna make a bold statement that I haven't checked, may well be the first movie based on a board game, which seems like what a dumb idea, what a bad idea.
Sure.
And yet they managed to swing it. It's like when you first heard about Barbie, a movie about a doll, and yet they swung it in a way that was like, oh. So I loved approaching a movie that I thought would be stupid, only to be deeply wrong. I kind of enjoy being put in my place by a movie. And I love humor that is Monty Python-esque and obtuse. So like my favorite joke is the joke where they're saying like to the prince, all this is yours, and they make that big gesture and he goes, what, the curtains? Like just the purposeful misunderstanding humor. I've always thought that is the funniest thing ever.
I can't believe you forgot the Hungry Hungry Hippos film.
Is that what the Rock?
I'm joking.
Oh! I'm sorry. I got lost at the end. I got lost in the sauce at the end there. Yes, you joke, and yet we are probably months away from Hungry Hungry Hippos, the full-on film starring like Denzel Washington and Channing Tatum.
It'll be an Uno Hungry Hungry Hippos double feature, probably.
I mean, how many movies have we pulled from a fictitious board game, Jumanji, from a children's book? Like 4, maybe?
Battleship.
Battleship?
Yeah.
Where the bullets are actually like the plastic pegs in the fucking game.
And they're fighting aliens.
They're trying to do Ouija, right? Like Ouija's
has
had
Ouija.
2 movies now.
Ugh, don't do what I did.
I mean, Dungeons and Dragons, I think you can make an argument too, is a board game, even though there's no traditional board. But Dungeons and Dragons hasn't had that success, right? Like, they have not been...
I thought the new one was actually...
The newest one did. Yeah.
The newest one, has come close. Yeah. And I think that is a testament to casting well.
Mm-hmm. And actually using stuff from the real board game, like actually using stuff in like fandom.
Yeah, having 2 nerds who played it actually write the screenplay versus.
But previously, those movies felt very much like cash grabs.
Oh,
absolutely,
so bad,
and they failed hard.
So bad.
This was the first, as far as I can tell from Google, which it should be stated has been thoroughly shitified and can't be trusted. But as far as I can tell from Google, this is the first board game.
I did research to confirm, and it is, in fact, I made a bold statement, and I got caught by truth. Yay!
Did you feel like this stands up well alongside Barbie, at least?
I mean, we're talking about 2 completely levels of, like, Barbie makes a huge comment on your existence. It has, like, leaves you with a, like, whoa, what was I thinking about life? This movie won't hit you that hard, but it is in the genre of, like, I have this really perverse thing of wanting to see things when people describe a movie to me, and I'm like, that's so stupid, I can't believe. Put it on, I need to know.
Yes, 100%.
And when it's good, you're like, how did they do that? Because it doesn't sound like it should be good.
And when it's bad, it's almost better.
It's Like I joke about Ouija, but Ouija is a great example of what not to do in a horror film setting. And it's like every choice that they make is trite and dumb and not based on the game. And like, okay, sometimes you need to know what not to know what to do. And that's a great reason for that to exist, I guess. Sure.
Did you still find the humor Python-esque and obtuse playing to your sensibilities?
Of course. Like the scene where McKean walks up to the dead bodies. He's like, smells like corpses. Everything's okay. Like just weird lines that could be so thrown away that everyone's just popping and popping and popping. And people don't pay attention to what each other is saying. How they're making jokes with barely even words. Like everybody checking their shoes at the beginning. Like, what's the sad smell? Like just the hilarity of every single choice these actors made hitting is amazing.
I will say I got like maybe 2/3 of the way into the movie and was surprised at how little humor there was. I had remembered there being more. I had remembered it being a more sort of chock full of jokes comedy than I think it played to me now.
I guess I remembered it being dry. It's a lot of like, again, Stoppard. It's very dry kind of lines at the beginning. And then it becomes a little bit more Three Stooges. There are some Three Stooges moments in the beginning as well, more body-based. It kind of dissolves as you go. But I do like the subtle bits at the beginning. Yeah.
I think the last act colors, at least when I had as much remove as I did from having seen this, I think the last act colors a lot of the impression that I have of the movie or had before rewatching it. Because like I had remembered it being, I guess, bigger and broader, and that's clearly the last, the denouement of the film. Influencing, I think, the sort of perception that isn't necessarily as present in the first two acts. So, throwing to clip 4, we asked what memories stuck out to you about your experiences with Clue?
Definitely Madeline Kahn's performance. Definitely that scene I just referenced. And then, of course, the ending. The way that, like, they just went and decided to have multiple endings for this movie. And I saw it in a way where I got to see all the endings because I saw it on VHS because my age made it where I would not have seen it in a theater. But in theaters, they were just like, fuck it. You're not going to know which ending you're going to get. Much like when you play a board game, which I thought was like, oh, again, that's very artsy to make for like a silly comedy movie to make that decision. Yeah. I really liked that. I mean, of course, it bit him in the balls. Yeah.
And a silly comedy based on a board game. Like,
no.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. You're not thinking that it's going to do that.
No. And I enjoyed that it did that. And I love that scene where he's just running around and doing the explanation. And I feel like that Tim Curry performance is so iconic that it bleeds into so many movies that I enjoy and love from that point on. Like I even just watched The Residents on Netflix, which is from Shondaland. Highly recommend. They have a scene at the end where the main detective does an explanation while running through the house. And there's just enough to know that like, oh, this is a Clue reference.
So the multiple endings was something that you enjoyed conceptually. Would it surprise you to find out that this was John Landis's concoction and that he did it because he thought people would pay to see the film multiple times?
I am not surprised that the answer is capitalism. I'm not.
Yeah.
But this was the biggest dissonance I had with expectation and reality because I remembered it being 3 different endings where all 3 of them were fairly good and there was one that was clearly the best one and they put it at the end and like I don't understand why the audiences back then were so upset. And watching it now I was like, yeah, because ending A and ending B are ass. And the best thing that I love, the Madeline Kahn thing, is only in ending C. So some people got versions of this where they didn't get Madeline Kahn, and the people who got version A didn't even get my second favorite line about monkey brain stew. So like some people saw a way worse movie.
Wait, what? They released 3 versions of this?
Yeah. Yes. In the theater, the 3 endings, you went to the theater and you got one of the 3.
So when Tim Curry, when you see the hand go and put the lights down, and when they're searching the house the second time, that's the point in which it becomes 3 separate movies. And you either got the movie where Miss Scarlet did it, where Miss Peacock did it, or where they all did it a little bit. And it's not until it comes out on VHS where they combine all three, and that's why it becomes a cult hit, is because people loved all three endings.
Jesus Christ.
But Landis made a big miscalculation. This did not do well at the box office because he thought that people would pay to see it 3 times, and people just didn't go to it. When they heard that there were 3 endings, they're like, why would I see that?
I'll just wait till it's out on VHS. I would love to see someone take a decent attempt at this, because I do think it is a great idea from an artistic standpoint, but you gotta give me 3 fucking good endings. And as someone who likes things like 4 Rooms, why not do a movie where you have multiple people, we have multiple people on this script, work together, and then at one point it becomes the ending for this writer, the ending for this writer, and the ending for this writer, and then you would get people willing to see 3 different movies because it's 3 different people that they like.
Yeah, and what was how did they even denote what version of Clue you were seeing?
You didn't know. It was a blind box situation. It was based on regionally where you were, which copy they sent out to particular theaters. It wasn't even like everybody who went to Regal got this. It was just like sheer blind box. And we all know that's not everyone's favorite thing. You can go to the Japanese dollar store and wind up a little upset.
Yeah.
I wonder if there were people who stayed away from Clue purely out of spite over something like that, because it seems like such a capitalist endeavor to goad people into paying 3 times the ticket price. Oh, well, I got to go see it. I got to go drive 25 miles and see it at this other theater. But how would you even know?
That's the other thing, is you could wind up paying to see it twice. It's like you'd have to have a friend.
I think you'd have
to
talk
the
to
theater.
Somebody. Yeah.
You get an hour and 10 minutes into the movie. It's making you do all
that
this
much
extra
work. Yeah. I know you can't even Google it.
Did they make some kind of promise or declaration that, we're going to put all of the endings on VHS?
No.
So, how would you even know to wait until VHS? That is so bizarre to me. I couldn't wrap my head around that if that happened today. The closest thing that has happened in recent memory is the documentary on Brian Eno, which I really liked. Brian Eno, the music producer.
Yeah.
But they have, at least where I saw it at the Film Forum here in New York, they've talked about how there's so much interstitial, there's so much B-roll, there's so much montage in that movie that they've developed a way that each screening is unique. Now, I think you see every total clip, but the order in which you see those clips are always going to be unique and different. That, of course, wouldn't work in a movie that is linear, like Clue. But that just kind of blew my mind when you guys mentioned that. Yeah. I'm still kind of wrapping my head around this.
I think it's obviously it was a capitalist attempt, but it almost feels a little bit like an attempt again to grasp at the theater roots of it, where you could you could see the production Clue live 5 times, and because parts of it are improv, and maybe because they change who kills someone every night. That's a real dinner theater thing where I'll go to another dinner theater of this because they change the killer every Friday. So I could see.
Yeah, and it's a nod to the board game, right? That each game is different, each scenario, each whatever the little special packet in the center of the game with the 3 cards is going to be different each time. Sometimes you're going to get it right, sometimes you're going to get 2 out of 3. But talking about big swings within the performances and big swings of the cast, that's a huge swing from Landis as a producer to shape this movie.
Yeah, the writing just wasn't there on the other 2 endings. They just needed to cook it a little more.
Now, as a film critic, what would you say to the ghosts of Siskel and Ebert, who complained that the multiple endings were a gimmick and that they should have worried more about the middle section of the script?
I would agree with them.
Okay.
I would agree with them, especially if they saw it the way that it was originally intended. I would agree with them.
They saw all the endings. They had, because they screened them for critics, I'm sure.
Yeah. I would feel
they got some special version.
If they could have done a little bit more work on all 3 endings, you wouldn't have minded the middle bit being a little bit more set-up-y, because it would have felt like it set something up.
Right.
Yeah, I do agree. We're again talking about a script that a very, very successful theater writer, famous, could not finish. So you're kind of okay, it got somewhere. But yeah.
Was Tim Curry's scene as iconic as you remembered?
Oh, so iconic. In researching it, I found out that there were a couple other people that they wanted to play that character, and they were really leaning on Rowan Atkinson But because people didn't really know Rowan Atkinson, he's not yet been Mr. Bean in the United States, they go with Curry, which is surprising to me because I think the only thing people would have really known him for was either Rocky Horror or at best, he was in Annie, I think, before that. So it's like a weird choice to be like, no, he is more famous. And then knowing that the entire way that that final scene ends up being shot is based on the actor's input, the actor's effort to learn the mannerisms of everyone else, the putting in the choreography with the camera work and making the shots his own. I just feel like it is so incredibly iconic and probably the first thing I think of when I think of Tim Curry. I think of him in that scene doing these lines.
So thrown to the last clip, we asked you what expectations you had for your return to Clue.
I expect to laugh a lot and enjoy it. I also expect to maybe find one or two jokes that have aged like fine milk.
Sure.
Yeah. Like you say, it's usually the sexism ones are the ones where you're like, you shouldn't say that anymore.
Sure.
Oriental is not the preferred nomenclature.
No.
Yeah. So this is a question brings a question I wanted to ask you guys. Because I did say earlier that a lot of the jokes and the sexism wasn't too bad. There's one thing that as soon as the movie was over, my husband and I got into a crazy conversation about. The final line in the final ending from Mr. Green, where he's been playing gay the entire night, and he says, and I'm going to go home to sleep with my wife. Do you take that as a comic beat to say that the whole thing has been a joke and he hasn't been the person he's been pretending to be all night? Or do you take that as a continuation of the blackmail where, like, he's at work now and none of these people could know that he is gay, so he's pretending still?
I don't know. I mean, there's also the wrinkle, of course, of who is the head and one of his trusted lieutenants of the FBI, like closeted but gay. So would it matter to Hoover? I don't know. I took it to be he was playing a part, and that the homosexuality, because it's set, during the HUAC days, that he was playing a part and had to have something that he could be blackmailed over. But
yeah, so this is one of those situations where you start to look at a film and you're like, as a film critic, am I criticizing it for the moment in time in which it was released and the social political statements that the people had while they created it? Or am I criticizing it right now for the way that we stand and we look at things? Because I think if you stay in a now, you could kind of be like, well, maybe it's making this huge commentary about being gay at the time and how you would have had to have had it. But if you go back to when it first came out and the way I think I would have thought of it as a child, it's like, oh, the whole thing was a joke. He's that good of an actor. The whole time he's been pretending to be somebody else. Yeah. And I think that to end a movie like this on a line that's supposed to be like, and remember, people can't be gay, is too heavy. That was not the intent of the writer.
Sure.
Yeah, I almost took it as it's such a demonstrative move that it feels like he is still conveying a false frontery of kind of heteronormative behavior. Like, it's such a weird brag, right? That, like, only a closeted only a closeted gay person would, like, be that performative with, like, I'm gonna go and have missionary sex with my female spouse. It's along those lines of, like, oh, what are you really saying? It's like the guy
it's
who
like Holton, Florida, where he's pretending to be straight in Brooklyn Nine-Nine, where he's pretending to be straight. He walks every day with these like septuagenarian Floridian women, and whenever he talks about breasts, he talks about them as heavy bags of sand.
Yeah, that was the 40-year-old version, right? Like he was talking about having the breasts in your face and then like big bags of sand, and that's how they kind of began to suspect that he had no sexual history. But yeah, it's such a weird beat to end a movie on, right?
Only if you saw it in the theater that was playing that ending, though.
That's still the best ending, though. So that's the beat for the ending that we all kind of agree we want, right?
But it doesn't make that ending the best. There are other things, of course, within that ending that rise that ending to the kind of station.
It's such a weird way to end it, though.
Especially with the musical beat there, too, right? Ba-ba-bum, ba-ba-ba-bum.
There.
Yeah, it just bursts right out into that song is the song, I think it's a whole song that exists outside of this movie, and yet for my entire life it has been the song from this. That's the Clue song. Shake, rattle, and roll. It's the Clue song.
There were so many moments, and maybe KT, you kind of had this too, of like, oh, I know what's going to happen. Like, maybe not plot-wise, but I know the kind of aural next beat here because it has been... The things that have stayed with me for 30 years have been when the needle goes down on the record and it's shaboom, shaboom, da 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 da.
Yes.
Or like, or the very muted scene, very like well framed scene of people matching their matchsticks together and watching the reactions of how people find out who their partner are. Scarlett's so great with that. But we keep that scene completely muted until Christopher Lloyd's looks like it's you and me, sugar bump. You know, like I knew that was coming 2 seconds before it dropped because it had been so baked into my mind over these years.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of kind of lingering oral memories.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing where like you'll say that to a friend when you're matching up in a group and you don't even really remember you're still quoting Clue.
So, aside from the sort of quizzical button on the third ending, were there any jokes that aged poorly to you?
The stuff around Mr. Green being gay, like, it kind of hit in some places and it kind of didn't hit in other places, and that felt the least sensitive because it was played for laughs as opposed to the misogyny stuff where you're like, you're supposed to hate these characters. It was mostly like, haha, he's gay, so he doesn't like boobs. Nah. You know, like, it's not the best, but it didn't really age super bad. There was not anything where I was like, oh, you can't say that. You just can't say that.
Did you laugh as much as you expected to?
Yes, I did laugh as much as I expected to. I think I was surprised by how many of the lines I still totally remembered. I was expecting to be like, oh yeah, and then but I'm like mouthing all the lines as they go. Like, wow, it stayed in there because it's been 20 years since I've seen this movie.
Yeah. You later pontificated that this was a good movie, that we don't go back and rewatch, and then wondered why that is. Do you have any thoughts with Clue fresh in your mind as to why that might be now?
I think this is, and maybe this is something that only I do, because I know a lot of people say that when I say this, it sounds weird. I'll listen to a song like 12 times on repeat, and then I'll remember that song in my head forever. And I won't listen to that song anymore because I can press play in my head whenever I want and listen to that song. So I am listening to that song a lot. It's just not literally, physically, actually, humanly listening to it. And since I realized how much of Clue I actually remember, I don't go back and put Clue in because anytime I want to see a scene of Clue, I can just go like, and then there's a scene of Clue and I watch the whole scene in my head.
When you go back to like listen to a song, like if there's been a lot of remove, does your memory still pull all of like weird little instrumental flares or something? Like, is there anything about the song that you've sort of mind palaced that you've forgotten?
This is a great question. I either remember it to exactly a T where like I could be on Shazam, or I get mad a lot when the version isn't the version, like no. Or I'm like, I listened to this on a cassette where it had a little woo right here and that's not on this and I need that here because that's how I hear it. But then also there are things like, and specifically with Rankin and Bass stuff, I will edit out the singing and completely forget that there's any singing at all in The Hobbit. So, like, my brain will sometimes be like, let's save her from having to hear The Greatest Adventure every 20 minutes for the rest of her life by just cocooning it here and not letting her remember it. There's nothing wrong with The Greatest Adventure. It's just that they say it, like, every 30 seconds in that cartoon, and it drives me insane. I'm a whip is away. I want that. I want a deep techno drop the bass version of Whip is away. There's a whip is away.
Okay.
And we'll be right back.
You won't see the engineer that slams the Nissan Rogue's door 13,920 times. Or the corrosive chamber that simulates 15 years of life in 5 months. Or the Rogue heat-baked for over 300 combined hours. What you will see is a vehicle that can take punch after punch and keep rolling. Nissan, #1 in new vehicle quality among mainstream brands by J.D. Power. We put it through the worst, so you get its best. For J.D. Power 2025 U.S. Initial Quality Study Award information, visit jdpower.com/awards. Awards based on 2025 model year. Newer models may be shown.
So, moving on to picking up the scraps, is there anything we've missed that anyone would like to talk about?
I don't think so. I think we talked about pretty much everything that I can think of. I'm sure, like 10 minutes from now, I'll be like, oh no, we didn't talk about that thing, but it's probably not super important.
I'll say that one of the scraps for me is like this was probably the most formative reason why I have such a kind of childish fascination with hidden passages and bookcases and faulty fireplaces. Like so much of this movie is like this little crank and this turning thing and like wanting that to be, you know, as an adolescent and as a little kid, wanting that, like when I talked about growing up and having a mansion, I'm going to have secret passageways. I'm going to have bookcases that move and like you can get from this room to that room because of Clue.
I threw away a bit in the intro about that too. I was going to make a reference to that in the sort of intro rundowns that I ended up scrapping for something else. But
well, I picked up your scrap.
Yeah, thanks.
I think that's...
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say that's so incredibly true. And in fact, this year, Home Depot just started selling a door that is a bookshelf so that it's a secret door bookshelf because that's how much
right.
We're millennials. We're older now. We have the money. We want this. We need this. I also really very much want a painting where the eyes come out and I could be watching you. Like I thought that was in here, but it isn't. I don't know what movie I'm thinking of.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like something that was cut. You know, I almost thought the gloves were going to be a giveaway in this movie. Mm-hmm. There were a couple things that I like misremembered, like who was going to have the black gloves. Because obviously, like in all those scenes, it's like a hand model. Like
I was going to say, is it anyone? Yeah.
Yeah, if it is someone, it's one of the male actors because they're certainly not Leslie Ann Warren's hands or Eileen Brennan's hands.
Yeah.
I'm going to talk a little bit more about Colleen Camp because I feel like she's probably the wild card that most people might not know about. Mm-hmm. She married John Goldwyn a year after this. John Goldwyn's the grandson of Samuel Goldwyn, Francis Howard, and posthumous Oscar-winning Gone with the Wind scribe Sidney Howard, who was crushed by a tractor on his farm. Mm-hmm. He's the son of Samuel Goldwyn Jr., and he's Tony Goldwyn's brother. She's probably best known as Miss May in Apocalypse Now. Mm-hmm. She sort of famously, at the last minute, replaced Linda Carter. And she's also probably, Police Academy fans would know her as being Kirkland in Police Academy 2 and 4. So she marries...
Hightower?
She marries... Is it Hightower?
I thought it was Hightower, but maybe I'm wrong.
Mm.
Yeah, I think it's Hightower.
That was the most popular movie the day I was born. Police Academy 2.
Mm. Nice.
You can go look that up on that website, which tells you, if you put in your birthday, it tells you what was the most popular movie by box office sales.
So, critical response to the movie was mixed. Janet Maslin panned it. Siskel gave it 2.5 out of 4 stars. Mm. He lauded the laughs early, but derided the multiple endings. Mm. Ebert just gave it 2 stars, said the script was thin. How do we think this did at the box office?
I would...
What was the budget?
Yeah.
15.
7.
I think it made back its money.
14.6.
I was under, but yeah.
But it definitely made it back. And like, obviously, this was a much bigger hit on home video where it has a cult classic status. That
I feel like Clue, was like, and as we talked about with other movies on the Unkind Rewind, like Cocoon, like Clue was a movie that existed in like every other person's video home library.
Yeah.
It was something that you got handed from your real estate agent.
Just like Death Wish 3 and King Solomon's Mines, which it finished behind in the box office in 1985.
Oh, rough.
Isn't that weird?
Death Wish 3.
Like, it definitely had a much bigger life on home video. It did beat out The ones behind it, shortly behind it, were Return of the Living Dead, Real Genius, and Tomboy.
Oh, Real Genius is very good, though.
Real Genius is amazing.
Yeah.
I've seen Real Genius like 50 fucking times.
That's
almost all as an adult.
Yeah, actually, I didn't see that as a kid. I only saw that as an adult, and it
I didn't see it until college.
Drives my brother insane because I love the girl character that you're supposed to, like, the main female protagonist, and I'm like, oh, she reminds me of myself so much. And he's like, you're not allowed to say that because I had the biggest crush on her as a kid, so shut up and stop saying that. Just cut it out.
Number one also is one of the best kind of montage 80s, like, people figuring something out songs to ever play in an 80s movie. It's like when they're kind of cracking the laser code.
Yeah.
So good.
It's a great song.
I have a question for you guys. If you were in a production of Clue today, and I know you're an actor, Sean, and Josh, you play along anyway.
I'd be Mr. Boddy.
Yeah, who would you be? Who would you like to be, and who do you think you'd be? I'd have to be
killed off immediately because I don't have the actor bone. I'd be the liability that needs to be offed.
The motorist.
Yeah. Yeah, even less to do. I'd be the motorist, yes.
I think, like, my wheelhouse says green. I think that's probably the closest thing kind of casting to my type. But if I had my druthers, I think Wadsworth is the role to play here.
Wadsworth is the one. I could see you doing a Wadsworth. I would say go big. I could see you doing it.
I mean, I think Wadsworth is by far the funnest of those male roles. And maybe even like like you have a kind of gender cross thing and Wadsworth could be female easily.
That's what I was about to say. I would love to gender bend to Wadsworth. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's fun to do stuff like that, but yeah.
I mean, that last sequence, I mean, and like one of the reasons that, like, as you mentioned, Rowan Atkinson, I was like he's a very talented physical actor,
mm-hmm.
but the timbre and the voice quality of Tim Curry, which, very evident, of course, in Rocky Horror Picture Show, but like, my God, the control and back row energy that he has carrying that voice of Wadsworth.
Mm-hmm.
And all while that whole thing, it's so exasperating. It's such an actor's dream to kind of get to a crescendo like that. I mean, if you could imagine a performance like that on stage, he would have got an applause break when he was done with it.
Yes.
Yeah. He's like sopping wet in one scene. Like, he's just exasperated. He's still able to kind of do this. He has such command with his eyebrows and his eyes, which good actors will tell you is one of their best weapons. Mm-hmm. But how he's kind of... He's almost like twirling a mustache that isn't there as he's kind of going through and doing the very, Josh and I have a lot of reference for the Thin Man series.
Yes.
And this is very much that, right? This is very much that on steroids.
Yeah.
Of doing a Nick Charles, here's how it happened.
On speed, probably also.
I should Coke, 80s Coke.
Yeah.
This movie's 85, so like he is fucking doing some frosty rails before this. But this is Nick Charles with all of the suspects called into the room and going, but it couldn't have been you because of this, that, and this, which means that it had to be you, except for the fact that it wasn't because, and spinning that until we get to the gun reveal from the purse, right? And that's why you get such a nice kind of correlation to the board game here, because Wadsworth is now playing the board game.
Mm-hmm.
He's playing who did it, where they did it, and with what, right? Mm-hmm. He's doing, you killed them here in this room. There's we get a lot of these rooms from the board game mentioned, the ballroom, the billiards, the study.
Mm-hmm. And they connect just like they do in the game. They kept it to the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, Curry shines, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He's done so many different roles, but like, I think a lot of people are going to say, I think of Tim Curry as the butler in Clue, as their go-to first response.
Mm-hmm.
More than it, more than Home Alone 2, more than even Rocky Horror Picture Show, which has...
More than Legend.
More than Legend.
Although, I do think of him in Legend a lot.
But we see Tim Curry in this. He's not hidden behind anything.
Yeah.
He's not hidden behind a pound of cake makeup the way that he is in It and Rocky Horror.
And I think that even in things like Legend, where the prosthetic was so heavy and so painful that it really dictated how he acted and made him use much more of his face, that we see him so much more in this role than anything else because there isn't the makeup on him and he's still giving us that full face performance because that's what he's kind of been trained to do. I agree so much. If it had been Rowan Atkinson, I would have loved to see him prove me wrong, but I don't see Rowan Atkinson doing high-end energy. He's way more of a reserved straight guy constantly. Doesn't mean he can't. Doesn't mean I wouldn't love to see it. I would just be very surprised. If I could recast this right now, I would love to, and I'm guess rest in peace, I would have loved to see Andre Braugher try this role as the butler.
Yeah.
It's so so iconic.
He's one of my favorite actors.
And he does straight well, and then when he goes off of it, when Andre Braugher gives you energy, you just start laughing. He's so good. He was actually supposed to play the butler in Residence. It wound up being Giancarlo Esposito because he died shortly before filming and they had to switch it out, but he would have given us that energy again in a movie in a show that ends like Clue. It's really such a shame. And I think they did a really good job with what they had. I loved seeing Curry give us all of that energy.
Who would you play?
Oh, man, I would love to do a gender-bent Wadsworth. I mean, if I asked you to think of a butler, I think the first butler you would think of is Wadsworth. Probably. I mean, they've been butlers and other things, but they haven't been... He's so much agency for a person who's supposed to be helping everybody and just be secondary to everybody. If I was not gender bending the roles, I probably would want to play Miss White, but I could feel myself getting cast as either Miss Peacock or the singing telegram girl.
I rethought it. I'd be Yvette.
Yvette, yeah.
I can't do the French. I can't do the French thing. I can't.
Funny correlate. I mean, there's a lot of, a lot of weird menace to Tim Curry in this. His grin, I think, is so distinct.
I think that's just Tim Curry, though.
Do you know what movie he almost got a couple years after this that went to another member of this cast?
No.
He was the first choice for Judge Doom in Who Framed Roger Rabbit. And apparently, legend has it, he was too terrifying as Judge Doom. And of course, Christopher Lloyd ended up getting it, who doesn't really become terrifying until he kind of reveals his true nature.
Yeah.
But yeah, Tim Curry was the original Judge Doom.
Can you imagine?
Not original, but that was their first choice.
Fucking John Hodges? No, not John. What's the name of the guy who plays
Bob Hoskins.
Bob Hoskins. I want to say John Hodgman. That's the guy from The Daily Show. He goes almost insane because of that movie. You know that, right?
Because of the production of it?
The production, because he spent so much of the movie acting to nothing, but also the guy who played Roger Rabbit showed up a lot and dressed as Roger Rabbit and stood where Roger was supposed to be to try and help him. Uh-huh. He got to a point where he was seeing the characters he was actually hallucinating them after filming ended. He had to go to years of therapy. They tried to do a sequel and he was like, never. I'm only just now better. Can you imagine if they had made the guy at the end even more scared? Poor Bob would have been ruined, and he almost was. It almost ended his acting career.
That was worth it.
That's why the big gap afterwards, because he was in therapy trying to stop hallucinating.
And then he does the Mario Brothers
movie.
Yeah, I know, and he's like, right back in the shit. Fuck.
Right back to end of my career. I think probably Hook saved him as Smee the following year. At least he had some, a better role than... He had something to wash Super Mario Brothers out of his mouth.
Did you guys watch any of White Lotus this year?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have not. I've watched the first episode.
Okay, well then you might know the character I'm thinking of. The Russian guy who is giving all the massage, the Russian kind of... Yeah, he feels like a Yvette in a murder mystery, like a gender-bent Yvette. 100%. So, I see what you're doing there. Yeah, Yvette could be a guy.
No, I was going to wear the French maid outfit.
You could put that guy, just go to town. That's how John is going to cast you. If you don't wear it to the audition, you don't get the part.
Yeah.
It's definitely behind our paywalls, pictures of Josh in that outfit.
Okay, so moving on to major gripes, starting with KT, if you've got one. What was your biggest gripe with the film this go around?
My biggest gripe was that ending A and ending B are unacceptable on their own. That is not a movie I would have wanted to pay to see, and I am sad that they thought that it could be cut that way. I feel like they could have done more effort. The actors themselves would have had to have noticed that ending C had the most effort into it, and I feel like somebody somewhere should have said, hey, wait a minute.
Sean?
Yeah, I think that the triple ending thing, there could be a lot of contention, I think, with any of those, which is just the approach to that. It feels like trying to have your cake and eat it too. I think maybe ending with a little bit more ambiguity and less of this kind of hokey and hammy joke with Michael McKean to end your movie. And this stinger that kind of feels like a little bit of a cop-out to end it there, as opposed to maybe something with a little bit more ambiguity. Like, we see this ending, we see who done it, but then we also see, like, Professor Plum kind of wedge a black glove further into his pocket. Something cool like that, which would have caused a little bit more of the murderous and menace of the board game to linger. Again, I'm not going to rewrite the movie, but, like, I don't know. It feels super hokey to kind of end the movie the way that did. And I also, like, I don't really need for these characters to have the aliases. I think calling them Professor Plum, calling them Colonel Mustard, having that be who they are, rather than assigning them these avatars, is an unnecessary step.
Sure. I think that might be for the audience member because, like, you're a game player, and that's the, like, hey, when you start the game, you get this fake name.
Sure, right.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what they're going for. I just thought it a little unnecessary. Now we have 6 people who are kind of like withholding their real name for no real reason. I just thought it would be cleaner just to have White and Scarlet and yeah, we get that they're characters from the game.
Mm-hmm. I think you're so right about the ending line, especially because I wanted to say this, but I forgot. You get the line from McKean where he goes, I killed Wadsworth. It was me in the conservatory with the gun, which is the line from the game. And that feels that's like saying the name of the movie in the movie. We love that as audience members. Mm-hmm. And that only happens in that one, which is dumb. It should happen in all of them. Give us that line. And that should be the line it ends on. Because that reminds us that this is the board game. The line it actually ends on, after ending on a line that could have been better, is even more offensive now that I think about it. Like, they could have. Whenever
we played the board game, it was, I'm going to go home and sleep with my wife. That was how the game ended.
Oh, yeah, that's it.
Did your dad always win? Oh, boy.
Isn't that how the game ends?
Insight into your childhood.
That goes back to the family variations that we're talking about. That's how they did it in the Dugan house.
Again, this is all behind OnlyFans wall.
Yep.
I know. We're still looking for our first subscriber.
Do you have any gripes, Josh?
I thought it would be funnier on rewatch than it was. I wasn't wild about the pacing. I thought it started very slow and didn't pick up speed until the last act. And then, of course, has the sort of ill-advised 3 endings thing, which, I don't know.
Yeah, I think that you're right there. I think that the second act stumbles a little bit. And I also, like, for as much richness there is to the dialogue, like, I don't need 6 jokes about dog shit to start the movie.
They could have cut that entirely and it would have been fine.
We have people wrinkling their nose. Like, that feels a little...
That was vestigial to a 4th ending. Do you know that?
Oh, okay. I knew that they had the 4th ending and then didn't shoot it. Mm-hmm. But it seems like that's something you could cut around pretty easily.
So I was surprised to see it still in there. The 4th ending, Wadsworth is the killer and he poisons everyone and leaves them locked in the house and is running away. And the dog that he keeps smelling winds up being the thing that kills him. So it was like, oh, that's why that's there. I did love seeing the actors make, like, it's from point 1 you see how campy it's going to be. But
Sure.
And I might also be completely fucking ruined by how many 4-hour, 3-hour movies I had to watch for the Oscar season this year. That, like, At an hour and a half, this felt paced fine. Also, I just saw this as an 8-episode series on Netflix and as The Residence. So again, at an hour and a half, it felt paced fine.
Sure.
But I definitely, I totally agree with what you're saying. I would tell anybody worried about the pacing to just watch The Brutalist. And then this is like, wow, it's so fast.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's like its runtime is manageable, but it just feels like it's not plotted out in a way that has forward momentum at all points in the first 2 acts. The establishing stuff, like it's what, 6 minutes before everybody's in the mansion. I don't think you need to. It takes a little too long to get there, but whatever. So, how would we fix this film for a modern audience? Starting with KT, if you've got something. Otherwise, I'm sure Sean can jump in.
I would pursue what Sean was saying before with gender bending the Wadsworth. I would do that. I would flip some of the characters. You would have to update the politics, but it doesn't take too much to update the politics because, we're still kind of...
We're in the darkest, dumbest timeline. So,
pick anything you want and go with that. And you could really play up a lot of the possible political humor by doing something like that. I would obviously find anyone who wasn't white who might be available because that, besides the police officer, nobody in this movie is of an ethnicity.
Well, maybe the cook.
The cook, yes, that's true. The cook is, I believe...
Does she have a
Hawaiian?
line?
I think she's Hawaiian.
Does she have a line?
I think she says dinner is served, maybe.
Okay.
Something. Barely.
So she's an under 5.
Yeah, she's under 5.
I would do that, and maybe tighten it up a little bit. I think that if you watch The Residence, you're watching the most updated version of Clue for a modern audience. We get the Wadsworth character is updated to be a black female actress and is actually the detective instead of the butler. The butler dies because usually the butler did it. Yeah, so there's definitely legs on this, and if you want to see someone take a swing at it, you can watch that on Netflix right now. I think it would be very easy to update this, and you could put really great ensemble cast. Like, look what White Lotus does with a murder mystery. They say it's a comedy. I don't find it as funny as everyone else does, but I enjoy the mystery. So I think modern right now, we are feeling versions of Clue, and people are loving them.
And I mean, Knives Out is definitely that whole series is of this ilk too.
Of course, we're going to get a new one of those very soon too.
I maybe would take a swing and do Clue again if we're using the IP, but maybe I don't solve the mystery. Maybe I leave it to the viewer, and I do enough with the script, and it's going to have to be a really well done script here, probably that I can't do, but. Something where you're not bringing the audience back to watching this 2 or 3 times to get a new ending, like some, almost like an extortive ending, but you're doing it so that they would catch things that they couldn't see on the first watch. So much of the staying power of John Carpenter's The Thing is the murder mystery therein with that movie. About who is the last one? Who is telling the truth? Is it Childs or is it Kurt Russell's character McCarty? I can't remember what the hell his name is. Okay, so
I'll find it.
But that has staying power over so many years because Carpenter has dropped hints into the screenplay and into the film that, like, the keen observer viewer. McCready,
yeah.
But what if you did that with Clue? What if you did Clue where you had to play the movie as observant as you played the game? And there were small little touches here and there, like a side glance and knowing the whereabouts in real time of where somebody was and wasn't. So that by the end of the movie, it's not like as if the butler turns to you and says, who do you think did it? And roll credits, but something along those lines where you really had to work for it. I think could be a cool novelty and a cool exercise because, yeah, it's going to be tough to beat a movie like this, I think, in terms of also getting a cast like this. Getting a cast like this together again, like, I don't even know where you'd start because you'd probably have to cast some Q score bullshit like Kevin Hart to put in this that would completely ruin an ensemble. You'd almost want, I don't know, like, again, going back to The Well, you'd want people with predominant theater backgrounds.
Oh, I would love to see Catherine O'Hara do Mrs. White now. Going back to Christopher Guest, I probably would still visit the Christopher Guest Louvre.
Yeah, I mean, you could copy and paste a lot of that cast. You could have Eugene Levy. You could have maybe as a Mr. Green. I think Hugh Jackman would be a great Mr. Boddy. Or maybe as a Wadsworth.
Wadsworth, I think, yeah.
Yeah. I also love the idea of reapproaching it with a level of... So our audience knows that this is a game. They know that it's a mystery. They know that at the end they're going to... And you're like, at the end, what if we fuck around with... Does it really end? What if we fuck around with the idea of it being an actual murder mystery party where people aren't really dying and they're trying to figure it out? The reality of everything happening or not happening could also... you could play with how much of it is really a game for the people there. I'm saying, why not add in the movie The Game and see what happens?
For me, I think you would need to like decide who your audience is, because I think this film doesn't really do that.
Yeah.
Like, is it for kids? Is it not for kids? If it's for kids, why are all of the jokes, or why are a majority of the jokes sexual innuendo?
Or Red Scare.
Or playing on like groping or whatever. Like, it definitely doesn't know who it's made for.
I think almost every movie in the 80s that wasn't given an R falls prey to the who the hell is the audience supposed to be problem.
Right. So, Saving Graces, what was your favorite moment or element of the film? Starting with our guest, KT.
It's the ending. It's the way that it all plays. It starts to like ramp up, and then it feels like when you've been taken up a roller coaster and then it lets go and you just get to slide down and enjoy. You know where it's going to come. You know where all the beats are. You know what all the lines are. And yet it is so fun to go through this familiar ride.
Josh, I have a suspicion I know what yours is.
I don't think you do.
Okay, but if you don't say it, I'll come back to it. I think the cast is great. It made me want to be in a play again.
Yeah.
Khan is so goddamn good. I mean, like, everybody is so good in this. There's not really a weak link among these 7. Even 8, considering camp, right? If you bring camp into it. It's just a really, really great ensemble piece. I think the score does a lot of heavy lifting, too. I think this, like, especially during that.
I think when the synth comes in, that's a little odd. There are a couple times where the score has, like, a synthy aspect to it that I wasn't wild about. And I noted, like, off-putting score in those moments. But that's just me.
But the connecting, like, that is so iconic.
Right.
Yeah, and this is a guy who comes from Mel Brooks. This is John Morris. So he's done, he did Blazing Saddles, Producers, Silent Movie, High Anxiety. He even did The Elephant Man.
Oh, shit.
Because Mel Brooks produced that. Like, this is a guy that, like, very much knew comedic beats and knew...
Yeah. Like in The Elephant Man.
Like in the laugh riot that is Elephant Man, yeah. And again, I'm going to bring up what Josh is going to cite as his favorite part. His saving grace.
My favorite part is actually, it's not Colleen Camp's cleavage.
No, that's not what I was going to say.
Okay. Madeline Kahn making out with Lee Ving's corpse.
Yeah, knew it. I wrote corpse abuse.
Okay. That wasn't abuse, though. That was treating a corpse well.
Corpse manipulation. I mean, it is a felony. And even how great Eileen Brennan is as the hands of the cook.
Oh, yeah. Amazing.
Behind and the look of disgust on her face of not only having to, like, be complicit in having a corpse pressed against her, but also having to... Who is it? Is it
Martin
Green
Mull?
that she has
I think
to...
it's Martin Mull.
Yeah, Colonel Mustard, as she has to kind of grope there. So, like, you don't really understand if the disgust is because she has to touch this man who she finds repellent, or if she is also just, like, body to body up against a dead woman.
But that first moment where it's Madeline Kahn, like,
yes.
She's fucking around with Lee Ving's arm. She's the one having to, like, maneuver it, like, out of view of the police officer who's coming in. Like, it's so good. It's so fucking funny.
Lips flush.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And, like, he's got blood on his head that the guy doesn't even notice. It's so funny because when you say that song, the boom, shaboom, if I hear that song, my first reaction is to go like this.
It's to pretend you're making out with a corpse.
And make an upset face.
Yeah.
It's so real, though.
And the great, is it Curry or McKean in that scene who are trying to kind of hide him, and the cop is assuring him that everything he saw in there is fine.
It's McKean, yes.
Yeah.
Those are just two people having a good time. There's nothing illegal about it.
Yeah, that's totally fine. And McKean not understanding that he didn't see dead bodies.
Yeah, and he does it to both of them, because then Curry comes back and he's like, there isn't? Not in America.
I think that's positively delightful. That whole sequence.
I
do
sequence.
really love when a corpse is handled and has to be, weakened and burnied. Or in the scene in Grosse Pointe Blank, where he's wrapped up the Basque national hitman, where he's wrapped him up in the banner and he drops him off of the landing above into the furnace room, and then the corpse drops head first. It's so funny to me. But
another great thing in that Clue sequence of, despite not having to touch a dead body at all, the most disgusted person in there is Leslie Ann Warren as Miss Scarlet, because she has to make out with Professor Plum. White and Peacock come nowhere near the look on Scarlet's face when she's done with that little charade.
yeah.
Yeah.
She'd rather be making out with a corpse.
Yeah, she'd rather be tonguing Mr. Boddy there.
Yeah. So, Katie, you thought we were all going to come back and have a joyous conversation about Clue, and then joked, smash cut to, oh my God, what was I thinking?
I know, right? Just setting myself up for a real good eat those words.
Yeah. How did you ultimately end up feeling about Clue upon your return these many years later?
Exactly as I thought. I think we've had a really fun conversation. Mm-hmm. Obviously, there are no movie is perfect. We're not here to discuss No Country for Old Men, where I will be like, I'm not sure there's anything wrong here in any part of this movie. Right. So it's a 3.5-star movie for me, and half of that star is nostalgia. So it's a 3-star movie. Let's be honest, but it's still quite. It's like eating Doritos. It may not be good for you, but everybody kind of likes the way that it tastes, and you're gonna want to do it anyway.
I got a bag that's most of the way through right now that I'm probably going to dig into when I get out.
Cool Ranch or Nacho?
Neither. The sweet Thai chili one?
I forgot that one existed. It's a good one.
Yeah, I'll probably say, I'd go maybe a little bit stronger of a defense on this, but I do think a lot of that is kind of tied to less of a nostalgia about maybe the movie and more just as an actor seeing how much fun something like this would be.
Mm-hmm.
The ensemble's great.
Mm-hmm.
The people within this movie are operating on such the top of their game. Everybody is well cast. Everybody knows the role. Everybody is understanding comedic beats. Everybody here comes from comedic backgrounds too. And they know that it's not really about, okay, I don't need to be the star. Nobody is the star of this movie, right? You can make a slight argument for Tim Curry, but everybody knows that the key to a really great comedic performance is making your partners look good.
Yeah.
And everybody sets up each other. It's such a, I don't know, there's so much camaraderie within this cast. Everyone has this community aspect to it that I think it's evident, 30 years after this movie's released. 40 years after? Jesus Christ. 40 years after this movie's released?
Yeah, because it gets the year I was born. Yeah.
Those things still are very evident and will be evident 40 years from now. The jokes, the sexual innuendo stuff, who knows where the hell we're going to be in 40 years. Mm-hmm. But I think that
humanity won't exist?
Yeah, probably. I don't know. But if it does exist, or if aliens come down and the only thing left of our society is Clue, whatever the stopperedness, the null cowardness of it, I think is its staying power.
Yeah. I would definitely show this to actors who are about to do an ensemble piece and be like, let's all just get together, watch this as a group as a bonding event and talk about what works, what doesn't work, and see if we can't find inspiration in the way that this clicks together so well.
Yeah.
You'd His Girl Friday, the cast.
Exactly. See what you did there?
Before we say goodbye to listeners at home, where can they find you, KT?
You can find me everywhere on the internet. Just put my name into the internet. It comes up with everything. You can find me on TikTok and YouTube and Instagram and Blue Sky under Movie Runtime. And that's where I'm doing a lot of my short form videos where I'll give you trivia about stuff or like, did you know that this movie was related to this movie? Like, did you know the guys who wrote Reanimator wrote the first script for Honey, I Shrunk the Kids? And they
Makes
had
sense.
the guy who did Dead Poets Society came on and touched it up, and that's how you get that movie. Totally. And then you can also catch my podcast everywhere that a podcast is, especially on YouTube because I do visuals. So if you're listening, you can get it auditory if you want, but you're also going to get like clips of what we're talking about. It's just a little bit more assistive. If you're deaf or if you want to do captions only, that's a great way to do it because it's going to have a caption ability as well.
Will they see what's going on in your background, that you have a couple Pee-wee's Big Adventure or Pee-wee references on your wall back there?
They'll see my clocky on the back over there and my my hand-knit face hugger that I made for a video. Actually, there's a video where I show people how to make that handmade face hugger piece that's right here.
Oh, very cool.
And the podcast is What If I Don't Like It?
What if I don't like it? Yeah.
Super fun.
And of course, you can catch me in the backgrounds of a lot of different movies. So if you go to IMDb, you can catch different movies there. Specifically, though, do check out Girl in the Basement, which is a short 30-minute body horror film that I wrote and star in. It's the first film that I've ever made. So if you're like, it's so fun listening to her talk about movies, wonder if she put her money where her mouth is and made a movie. I did. It's there. There's also a 5-minute comedy horror. So if you want to see me try and do something funny as well, there are some movies there that you can watch. I will say that Girl in the Basement is very graphic body horror, not funny. The other one,
And
funny.
where's that available?
Those are on my YouTube channel. So if you go on Movie Runtime, you're going to see those there. And yeah, you want to have a little Cronenbergian evening, watch my 30-minute horror movie.
Right on. Well, thank you for subjecting your childhood memories to the scrutiny of the Unkind Rewind, KT.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, this was delightful. Thanks,
yeah,
KT.
absolutely.
So happy to have you here. That was another installment of the Unkind Rewind, mining our childhood for content, one film from a guest's past at a time. Unkind Rewind is a Munchcasts production and can be listened to wherever you download your podcasts and watched on the Unkind Rewind YouTube channel. Music for this and every other episode of Unkind Rewind was composed by Divorcio Suave. Rate, review, like, and subscribe to Unkind Rewind on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, and Good Pods. Links to all of our social media accounts are in our show notes, but you'll find us as @UnkindRewindPod on Letterboxd and nearly every social media platform, all of which can be found at our website, unkindrewind.com. If you have a question, concern, complaint, or feedback, you can email the podcast at unkindrewindpod@gmail.com or call into our call-in line, area code 507-479-6440, and leave a message that can be played on air. Fans should join the Munchcast Discord to discuss this or any other episode of the Unkind Rewind with like-minded people. This dialogue may just make it into a future episode of the pod. The Unkind Rewind Patreon will be coming soon, so start squirreling that pocket change away. Thank you for listening to the Unkind Rewind.